Welcome, low ego action heroes and phoenixes. This is Debbie Levitt from dcx welcoming you to the every Wednesday show, Ask Me Anything. And this week it is Ask Us Anything because Dr. Nick, the famous and lovely Dr. Nick, will be joining us. Hello, Ana Lucia and Diana and Mystery. Good to see some of our community showing up here. Before we jump in and bring Dr. Nick in, just a reminder to everybody that if you have a question today, put it in the chat. It will pop on the screen like this. Or if you have a longer question or one you want to ask anonymously, I can't point to it, dcx.to/q. That will come into my email anonymously. Sometimes it comes in late after the show ends. I'm so sorry. But send it in. And or if you have a question or a topic you want us to talk about, we are here for it. So let's bring in friend of the show, Dr. Nick Fine. Dr. Nick, who and how are you? And hello, KB in the audience.
Hello. How you guys doing? It's been a while. It's been a couple of months, I think.
Yeah, you were on holidays, and then we were on holidays, and then things.
Stuff, yeah, life. Yeah, all good. All is good. All is crazy. Situation normal, all flipped up.
Effed up, yes.
Yes. Well done me for not swearing. Congratulations.
Oh, well... The show just started, Dr. Nick. I predict there could be a swear word in the next hour, but you know, who can say? So if we want to hear what you all want to talk about or want to hear us talk about, Europeans and their holidays, so jealous. Don't be too jealous. Mine went a bit awry, as some people know. And you went to Portugal, Dr. Nick, right?
Yeah.
And you didn't stop and see Ana Lucia.
No, but I'm so deeply in love with Portugal and Portuguese culture and Portuguese food and architecture. What an amazing place! But yes, we can talk. I can enthuse about that another time. It's brilliant. Big fan.
All right. Well, then again, and next time you are coming down in that direction, won't you just make a right turn and come see me?
Yep.
Don't forget. So I'm going to watch my email for any anonymous or long questions that come in through the ask. Let's see. As we Northern Portuguese say, swear words are as normal as commas. Mystery says, I think Portugal is keeping us filthy Americans out for now. Yes, I heard there's some backlash to the non-Portuguese moving in. So I don't know, but... maybe they will embrace Dr. Nick and his lovely family.
I think it's Airbnb they're probably beefing at, and that's fair, I think.
Yeah, or I think it's like Americans trying to go into towns or villages and making them very American.
Yeah, well, yeah, let's not go down that road. Because
Let
we got
Portugal be Portugal. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, that was... so, without a question... Ana Lucia says it's more like people from outside of the EU, not foreigners as a whole. Okay. Well, we'll take it from you. So we are here to answer your questions or talk about topics that are on your mind. But until some of you come up with a question or a topic, we know that Dr. Nick does not show up without a burning topic on his mind. Burning. Dr. Nick, what's burning on your mind here in November 2025?
Research obviously is core to my being, as probably most of you guys too. Research isn't research, as and I put up a big LinkedIn post recently trying to show people the difference between user research and market research, which has been pretty widely and well received. But there's so much more to that, and what's bugging me is this: when other people, when clients, when employers employ the services or the employment of a researcher, a user researcher, or a UX researcher, a researcher of that ilk, what they think they're getting and what they're actually getting are usually really far apart. Now, this delta, I believe you can see it in the perception of what a product manager thinks it does, right? Because you can tell because of the way, what they ask you to do and how they ask you to do it. They're not understanding what our practice is, and it feels like what we're selling isn't necessarily what people are buying, and they're seems to be some kind of. That's what's bugging me. That's what's on my mind.
Okay, we can certainly talk about that a little bit, but we did just get a very long question in through the anonymous system. I'm not sure we've ever had a question this long. I do like when people tell their stories. This is a very long story. I'm going to have to paste this into what will eventually be the YouTube description. So let's devote a few minutes to this, and then we can certainly address the anonymous question that I got in. So, Dr. Nick, where do we start in talking about who's buying and what are we selling and things like that?
Okay, in terms of selling the services that we provide, the things that we can do for people, right? The practices of research, and for them, it's they want to be able to, the insight, the right kinds of insight that they need for whatever they're trying to achieve. So often you'll get somebody coming at you. Okay, my perspective on all of this is as a behavioral researcher, somebody who focuses on evaluative, somebody who focuses on user testing. That's my longest provenance. That's what I'm best at. That's what I'm known for, if you know what I mean. Getting people like me to do things like surveys is really low grade. You're missing out on a whole world of understanding about your product if all you're doing is being told to do surveys badly, right? And you do the survey, you might even pilot it, you might iterate it, you give it a whole bunch of changes and put it live untested, right? Like really bad behavior. So that's what I'm saying about the disconnect, right? Many people think we are like a tool, like a spanner that you just pick up and use, right? Like there's no brain or intelligence in this tool. You just point us at a thing and we do it. And that attitude is pervasive these days. Instead of treating us as consultants, understanding the problem, the audience, trying to find the best way to get that insight, not just, oh yeah, let's just check a box. Debbie, you go done. It doesn't work that way. But how do we educate the world without over baking it, overcooking it? Because part being fired for doing market research like endless discovery, continuous app, and they're finding out the hard way that that's not what research is really about. Sorry, that was quite a long monologue.
I support that. Yeah, your audio was stuttering a bit. I don't know if your internet is okay. I don't know if it's me. Everybody tell me if I'm blipping also. Sometimes it could be me. If it's continues, I'll try to turn down Dr. Nick's video quality a little bit from my end. Fire the chef from the kitchen, says Ana Lucia. I would say that in some ways this is what my new book is going to be about a little bit. But mostly, I think, as always, these conversations come back to things like what are your standards? What are your ethics? Does your company care about quality? Does it care about customer outcomes? And I find that when companies don't care about these things and they're just looking for shareholder value or we shipped a thing, then research is optional or less important, or anybody can do it, or talk to half a customer every other week and you'll surely know enough. And so I think that it still comes down to those questions around quality, and we would have to find a company that cares about quality.
No, I get that. And by the way, my ping is 2.5, so it ain't no dropping out. The problem is that let's just say we've got the same problem, but let's apply it to the okay. When you're hiring a designer, number one, there are all kinds of different designers. Two, when you are hiring a designer, you look for a portfolio. You want to know what kind of a designer they are. You know what I'm saying? That level of scrutiny, or even just simple questioning. Or when you're working with a new PM, what kind of a researcher are you? What are your strengths? What are your preferred methods? Or you know what I'm saying? Or something that determines bog standard. You know what I mean? Where it looks like I'm cracking up. It's definitely not me. My thing is consistent. Definitely you. Sorry.
I'm working on it. I'm turning you down.
Thank you. you understand? Sorry, I can't really read there. It says, I hate the word validation because it's used by stakeholders to say, I want you to say I'm right. That's exactly right in many of these cases. They want you to prove them right. Actually, it's like a political play. So this is what I'm trying to say, if I'm not stuttering too much, is that I want the world to understand that research is much deeper and wider than just some person to do a survey for you.
Agreed.
You know, so that we're able to do a better job for them, so that we can do more.
Totally agree. I covered this in
so underplayed.
Customers Know You Suck. We had, I think, chapter 8 or either chapter 8 or chapter 12 was about research mistakes. And I spent a lot of time on why surveys usually are not the right tool for the job. And yes, we might think that they're faster or cheaper, but very often they are poorly designed, poorly analyzed, and we walk away still not understanding who, what, where, why, when, how, and even what to do. So they're usually not the right tool for the job.
Yeah. And the best way to encapsulate this for everybody listening is imagine having a watch that tells you the wrong time, or a thermometer, which is, 10 degrees out, right? What you think you're reading isn't what you're actually reading. And if you want to get a reading on your product, a survey isn't necessarily going to tell you what's actually happening with your product. It's just going to make you feel good that you're doing a thing. And that's not any good.
Yeah, and especially when you see the survey get biased, like, oh, we sent this survey and 500 people responded, but then people don't like the way the answers are looking, so they go, oh, we must have asked the wrong people. Let's send the survey to the happier customers, and then you go, well, now this is just, completely manipulated, confirmation bias, total garbage. Why don't you just send a survey to your mom and ask, do you like me? Yes, no.
Yeah, that's the classic Texas sharpshooter fallacy. Where you shoot the holes in the wall and you draw the target around the holes. That's exactly it. Right? It's crazy. Unfortunately, the need for narrative is so strong that people are doing crazy, stupid things to maintain. Good. Sorry.
No, it's fine. You're stuttering less. I turned your video bandwidth down a bit on my end, and that should help.
Good. It must be my son. No, it isn't. It's not my son, because I'm actually pinging the router and it's fine. Anyway. That's it. Yeah, that was my little rant on research, really. But
I'm with you, of course. I mean, research is valuable. If companies that tend to not understand the value of research are doing non-valuable research. They're doing crappy research, and then they're going, well, I guess this research isn't very good. And that would be like having the worst microwave pizza on the planet and going, well, I guess pizzas are just not good. And it's like, well, no, the pizza you had was not good. There are good pizzas. Yeah. Why don't you try one of them? Hi, Melanie.
But here's the real problem. Some people they've eaten that pizza and they've gone, oh my God, it made me so sick. I'm never touching pizza. Right? And they're now pizza reverse. Wait, man, they're the best pizzas. Oh, I've gone all stuttery. Shit.
It's okay. I still understood you there. Sorry that Dr. Nick is stuttering a bit, and his bandwidth sounds good, so we don't know why. But oops, I will see if there's anything I can turn. I'm going to send you the lowest quality bandwidth back to you, Dr. Nick. And I'm just going to drop your video bandwidth a little bit to try to keep your audio good. Okay, we are getting anonymous questions coming in. So I know you and I could talk about this all day, but we probably need to get to some other people's questions. So
also, quick one. Ask me some AI questions if you've got them, because I'm so deep down that rabbit hole, like really, really deep. If there's anything I can do to help you, let me know, and it's all I try. It's all I do these days.
Yeah, there you go. So you can ask Dr. Nick your AI questions. I'm happy to take those as well. Okay, so we have an anonymous question that just came in, which is on the short side, the research question, and then we have a long question with a long story that I'm going to read to everybody. And I invite everybody in the chat to tell us what they think about this story and see what advice we would give this person. So here's the long story. How do I overcome this awful job search experience I recently had? Here's the backstory. In 2022, so this is 3 years ago, a recruiter reached out to me for an in-office UX role. I had one round interview with the company at the time. The recruiter then reached out and said if I was interested in moving forward to the next round, and I said no because it was in office. I then reached back to the recruiter a few months later if I can try again, as I was more open to an in-office position. The company filled in one UX role, but shut down the other UX role to focus on other roles. Then, in 2023 to 2024, I reached back out to the HR at the company, and they said they're not hiring for any UX roles at the moment. Then, in April of this year, so we're in 2025, I reached back out to HR again if they are hiring for a UX role. I got scheduled for a first round interview. However, during the interview, I was told from 2 product managers not to show any of my work, but just talk about it. 1 week later, they were closed for a holiday. A week after that, I got rejected, and I was told I did nothing wrong, but they're looking for candidates whose experiences align more to our needs and different skills. The feedback was very vague. I went with the assumption at the time they interviewed me that it might be a ghost job. I saw from April, May, and June on the company's LinkedIn page they never hired for the role. Then I found out in July they hired a UX designer. Seeing this really upset me and made me realize I was used, and I experienced a nervous breakdown. I then emailed the company where I vented so much frustration that I was never applying again. They used me, and I called them out on their disrespect, lying to me, treating me unfairly, and causing me serious mental health issues. The HR saw my emails and called the police to go to my house to do a wellness check to see if I was okay. The police were nice and wanted to make sure I was all right and asked if I needed any professional help. I told them no, and they left. Despite this, I can never forgive what the company put me through, as they caused further stress with my job hunt. I am getting tempted to send them more emails, causing me further stress and embarrassment. That is the entirety of the message I received. And Dr. Nick, what would you say to the person who has written this?
First of all, I'm sorry to hear of your experiences. You know, that crosses over so many lines. It's hard to hear, if I'm brutally honest. You know, companies don't behave well, and there isn't like the company's police that you can call. You know what I'm saying? They're getting away with really bad things, and I don't know what country you're in. I'm going to make some assumptions that it's possibly US, but I don't know.
Wellness check sounds American to me, I must say, but there must be other countries that do that as well.
Right, yeah, because I can't read that on. Sorry, I can't read the screen because the quality's so low down there. So
Yeah,
if it's relevant, just let me know. But otherwise, companies are just behave badly, and it's not companies; it's the individuals in those companies that behave badly. But we're not really allowed to call that out. Okay, it's either the hiring manager or the HR person, generally speaking. Now, again, you speak to any old school or senior recruiter, they know this, but that's their client, so they've got to work with it, and they're stuck in a really tricky situation. This is why using recruiters usually is a good idea, because they provide that buffer between the craziness of HR and internal wranglings and the outside. I know that's not going to help you with this thing. I personally would leave them alone. I wouldn't send them emails. Just walk away, put it behind you, draw a line in the sand. Bad experience. Look forwards. Look elsewhere. If they're the only, it sounds to me, because you have been approaching them for a number of years, that they're local to you and it's convenient, or there's a reason why this particular company you want to work for. But otherwise, there's other companies out there. I would like to believe. I know there aren't that many roles around. It is tough. I acknowledge all of that, but this company clearly isn't for you for mysterious, unknown reasons, unrelated to you and what you your interview. So sometimes you just got to just throw your hands in the air. It's just BS. It's nothing to do with you and stuff. It's just corporate horribleness, and just wipe your hands of it, walk away. If you dwell on it and start emailing them, you're going to perpetuate that. And you don't need that. You need to just draw a line in it and just walk away from it. Okay? That's the best advice I can give you. I'm really sorry once again that you had such a bad experience.
Yeah, I definitely want to echo what Dr. Nick has said. It's truly an unfortunate experience. It sounds like from the story that you're just someone who was hoping to get a job at this company, and you followed up from time to time to see if they had any available positions. They gave you a couple of interviews, and then for whatever reason, they were not interested in hiring you for reasons we may or may not know. And as Dr. Nick pointed out, that is unfortunately the way things go right now. Nick gets rejected from jobs. I get rejected from jobs. Sometimes I don't even get the first interview. Sometimes I'm rejected after multiple interviews. And this is just unfortunately where things are right now. However, Deanna says, I applied for a job recently and their reply to my application was to ask how old I am. Ooh, that's illegal in some places. Yeah. That's illegal. Deanna's in Belgium. That's illegal in some places. But back to the person who sent the long story. What jumps out at me, and remember, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, but I am a certified life coach at this point. And what jumps out at me is I am concerned about your mental health. And I do believe that from what you've said, that you are experiencing distress and you are experiencing negative effects on your mental health. And I understand that if the police come and do a wellness check, you don't want to tell them you need help because you could end up in some ugly places, especially if this is America. They often take you to a county hospital and you are not allowed to check yourself out of there. So I get it. The wellness check happened. You said you're okay. However, I would ask you to ask yourself, are you really okay? Because you do sound like someone who is continuing to experience some negative mental health feelings, repercussions, experiences, episodes where you are still in a difficult and painful place around what happened with this company. So much so that you want to write to these people to tell them how they wronged you. Yet when you did that last time, that made the police arrive at your door. And hopefully you would have enough presence of mind to not do something that attracts the police to your door again. But more importantly, I would ask you, do you need help? You don't have to go to the police. There's lots of other ways to get help, to talk to somebody about how you feel and what you're experiencing, and try to make more sense of this, because I don't have the whole story. You do. But to me, this sounds like the common but unfortunate situation where you get interviewed, you get rejected. Maybe it's for a terrible, unreasonable, crappy reason, but then you went somewhere with it that showed how it affected you. And we can understand how it affected you, but I must say I'm concerned about how it affected you. And I would say there might be an opportunity there to perhaps get some help. And you could say, no, I'm fine, I don't need help, but you are thinking about emailing a company that doesn't want to hire you, that already sent the police to your house and you want to email them that you're angry at them, I would say it sounds like you have something to process and work on, and that's probably best done with a mental health professional. Nick, you studied psychology. Help me out here.
Yeah, no. I mean, the thing I'm scrolling down is rejection sensitivity, which is a hallmark of ADHD and many other, well, particularly ADHD within the kind of neurodivergent spectrum or neurodivergent world. I don't know if this person, if you are neuro or diagnosed neuro, but maybe if rejection is a particularly big thing for you, it maybe is an indicator that there's something going on there that maybe want to check out. It is for me. I'll be completely honest with you. This is why I don't want to, I'm in the same boat as you. I take rejection to the core, right? It's really bad. I'm older and uglier and I've just got a thicker skin. But you trust me, over 50 years, I've had to build that skin through genuine pain, real soul pain from sometimes the smallest of things. But I take it really, really badly and very personally. It's just that's what comes with the territory of being an ADHD person. But it might not be your case. I'm just relating my perspective to you. Yeah, that's everything Debbie says is spot on in that regard. Also, let me give you a really rational perspective here. Okay, you've approached this company a number of times over a number of years. There were probably genuinely no opportunities at the times that you said there were. Then one comes up and HR says, hey, there's this person and she's been showing an interest in our company for a number of apologies.
No, we don't know their gender, so
no, I totally don't know, and I shouldn't have. I just made assumptions, which is wrong. Now I've lost my train of thought. What
Sorry. You're saying HR had genuine opportunities and they were willing to interview this person again, which is a decent sign.
Yes, right. And so they thought, they thought, let's have a look at this person. And for whatever unknown reason, it could have, who knows what reason, the product manager or whoever the hiring manager was or whoever it was like, oh, they're too old. I can't control that person. There's something, I don't like the color of your hair.
I don't like their background. They haven't worked in this industry enough.
You've heard every single excuse under the sun.
Anything.
And that's the bottom line. And that's what possibly happened. No, unfortunately, that's not right. But we still need a UXD or a UXR. So we're going to take this person. And then that's what you saw. But because they didn't give you any nice or good, reasonable rationale, it looks really bad from the outside. So I think that, I don't know. I'm very much guessing here. But what I'm saying is if you read too much into it, and if you are ADHD or over internalizing it, you can not overreact, but take it too personally, take it too hard, and have it affect your mental health really negatively. That's why my simple is just draw a line, walk away. Same effect. Really, just keep focusing on other companies and other opportunities that are out there.
Yeah, and
I hope that helps.
Yeah, and again, same thing. My advice is not to email them, not to apply for their jobs. I don't think they're going to interview you or hire you, and I don't think they want to hear from you your anger. And I would say if you want to express that anger, where can you express it in a way that is safe and comfortable for you? And that could be with a mental health professional who will want to hear this and understand how you feel and help you make more sense of this. And that way, hopefully in the future, if you do apply for another job and it goes similarly, because a lot of us get ghosted, we get these fake reasons, they hire somebody else. Hopefully that person will help you learn to cope with it and to be able to deal with it, because you probably want to feel like the next time you apply for a job, even if you don't get it, you'll be able to stay strong.
Yeah, absolutely. And also when I hear anger is another, it's a low frustration tolerance is another ADHD thing. So like being a rage monster comes with the territory. And so it feeds in from all the other stuff. it's all dopamine based if it is that. And so again, talking to somebody is great, but also going for a run, going for a walk, listening to really great tunes also is a dopaminergic or a dopamine generating activity, right? As is laughter or adult activities, right? These are all things that give us dopamine. So do some healthy dopamine things too, and it will, when the bad things happen in the world, you can manage them better. That's how it works for me. If when I'm having a tough day, I'll go into my garden and skip rope. I know that sounds nuts. Or I'll go for a walk with my headphones on. You've just got to get that dopamine flowing. Otherwise, your head will take you down. Promise you that. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah, and totally agree with Nick. 1,000% agree, and just think about what you can do to recharge your batteries and regain your strength and redirect your energies away from these people, because these people did something. Maybe it was normal, maybe it was not normal, but the burning anger that it sounds like you've been experiencing for most of this year sounds like it's consuming you. And so the question is, what do you need to do to find your way out of that space so that you can be in a healthier position? Because that's probably the position you would want to be in. I can't tell you what you want or need or should do. I can only say that it sounds like there's an opportunity here to pursue some a mental health professionals counsel, I think is the right word.
What they will do is they will give you the cognitive behavior therapy tools to be able to take these negative frames of thinking and to reframe them, or to change those frames into more positive frames of thought. That's effectively what the clinical will probably do for you, if that's what you want to do, right? It's about retraining how you think effectively, or catching those thoughts and stopping them effectively. CBT is a remarkably powerful technique, or rational emotive behavior therapy, whatever it's called these days.
Got it. So we've got another anonymous question that I'm going to put up. We've got a question in the chat from Vicky, which will go after. Thank you very much to the person who sent that in. I know that took a lot of guts and braveness. What's the noun for brave? To
Bravery.
tell us. Thank you, bravery. Good night, everyone. To tell us your story and to open up and to share that pain and the stress that you have, and hopefully you will find something constructive that you can do to improve how you feel and how you're dealing with it. And Nick and I say, please don't write to those people.
But it also sucks looking for work, right?
Sure.
And it's a sucky job looking world right now. So yeah, it's not a great context anyway.
Yeah, and just to read a couple of the things that went by fast in the chat, KB says, these kinds of experiences make it feel like the whole system is rigged against you and you start distrusting people in general. In my experience, the best thing to do is dump that buildup of energy into relationships with people who actually care about you in your personal life. At a certain point, the only way to deal with these things is to channel that frustration or energy into building something healthy with the people you respect. That's from KB. Nick.
Just reminded me, back in 1997, I was promoted to leadership and I was starting to hire people. And the first person I was in there, when I was chaperoned by HR, and I said, so are you married? Or something like that. And they were like, no, he didn't ask that. Sorry, he can't, The point being is I hadn't had any interview training. And after that, they were like, right, we need to put you on interview training. And I think, as I understand it, I think everybody used to get interview training back in the day, right? Because you couldn't say, like, how old are you? Are you going to get pregnant this year? Or whatever these questions you really are big no, illegal questions, discriminatory questions, right? But these days, like, that doesn't exist anymore, right? Anybody interviews anybody, right? And so that's why when you said, like, that illegal question, how old are you? Well, most people should know you definitely don't ask that kind of a question.
Right.
But I don't think people are trained. So the experience that this last person had, and lots of us are having in interviews, are people who haven't been interview trained, but not just asking illegal questions, but just don't know how to get the best out of you. That spend 30 minutes talking about themselves before before a word comes out of your mouth. Those sorts of terrible interviews. Anyway, sorry. Am I
thanks.
blipping out again?
No, you sounded pretty good. Ana Lucia says, based on her experience, she's wondering if autism might be a possibility here. But again, we're not looking to diagnose the person who is here. No. That's for them to pursue. If they might already have a diagnosis, they might pursue one. Deanna also reminds us, sometimes when you are in a bad space, it's difficult to get out for anything positive. And Ana Lucia reminds us, asking for help is not something to be ashamed of. It also takes a lot of courage to admit we need help and reach out. Yeah, and that person reached out today to our show, so thank you for trusting us with that. And hopefully we can inspire you to move forward and move away from those peeps. All right, next question. What am I'm pressing all the wrong buttons. Hold on. So what happens is they redesigned vMix a few weeks ago, and I keep pressing the wrong buttons because they moved a bunch of buttons. So I don't know what I just pressed, but I meant to do this.
I'm surprised you can't have a custom UI. That surprises me.
They added features, and now buttons aren't. They moved a couple of buttons to add features. I'm happy they added features, but I'm not yet used to where the buttons move to. So that is user error, in my opinion. Okay, so this question, I'm going to read it out loud. I know it's a little small on the screen for many people, and it says, I am new to user research and have still a lot to learn. I was conducting moderated remote user testing, and one of the users went off the trail. Their task was to read and review text. We were testing feedback, editing, etc. But instead, they started complimenting the product and clicking around, saying, this is nice, that is nice, which didn't feel genuine. Any advice on what to do in these situations? Uh-oh.
I love this. This is my favorite question of the year. Thank you, Oscar. Great question. Really great question. Because I've got this one nailed, right? The problem with like Mystic Nick, the soothsayer, is now going to use my powers of prediction to say, you are using a platform like User Interviews, users, one of those where the participants are provided to you as part of the service.
Oh, I see where Nick is going. Yeah. This one came in through email, so I don't know if they're going to give us some follow-up information. I know that Nick is talking about paid panel services.
Yes. What you're seeing is conditioned behavior. Okay? So
take it, Doctor of Psych.
Yeah. When you sign up to these services, right, and of which there are many, you can become, and you get paid $10 for a time. So if you do 10 or 20 of those a day, that's a reasonably good income or a side hustle. Okay. Or if you're a student or whatever, unemployed, that's cash money, good earnings. So people, it's now a job, a profession, a side hustle to be a user tester, to be a participant. Now, when you sign up to all of these services, the first question on the default script in all of these services is, what do you think? Oh, no, please give me your first impressions of the page. Okay?
Oh, it's so nice.
So every single person has been conditioned, like Pavlov's dogs with the bell and the salivation, have been conditioned to be, here's your landing page. Without ringing the bell, they're going, oh, I really like the way it looks. I love the fonts. I love the way it laid out. And all of a sudden, there's some kind of friggin' executive creative director. Completely unprompted. Now, this is classic conditioning psychology. Classic. And it happens all day, all night, every day. It's a disaster. And it wrecks validity. I mean, it's pointless. It's a joke. And so this is the real problem. This is how do you get around that? Is you have to give them a bit of a slap. Okay?
Yeah.
Now,
I would do the opposite. I would do the opposite of what KB just wrote. KB says, you can tell them, congratulations, you win. I will leave you a good review as a tester. Now let's begin the real testing. I wouldn't do that.
No, you're just playing into the meta
I don't want
or
to
whatever that
enable
word was.
them.
Yeah, exactly. That's not okay. But I can see why.
Right.
You have to give them a short, sharp shock, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. Right. Number one, they are a paid participant. Number two, they do want that good feedback. Right. Um, the short, sharp shock is to say to them bluntly but not rudely, is that's not what I asked you. Okay, you need to put them back on the rails in a way that they understand they're being bad. Okay, but you don't want to put them on the rails like yes sir, no sir, like like you're my robot, because that's another form of bias you don't want either. So it's a little jolt that goes, that's not what I asked you. And it's not, you have to get your tone of voice and your kind of phraseology right. It's a bit like a kind of a parent would say to their kid in the nicest possible way, I can't, you'll have to get your own version of this. Okay, it's like a teacher saying that's not what I asked, but not overdoing it. Okay, if you overdo it, it loses something. Okay, and you're going to create distance or fracture the relationship or whatever you want to call that. Okay, but they should then be back on the rails going, okay, I'm now reading the text. Oh, I don't understand that word, and whatever you wanted to achieve by that. Okay, what did you comprehend? What did you mean by that in that sentence? Or what did you think the outcome was meant to be? Whatever you're going for. If they keep doing it, you just give them another nudge. And if they do it for like a third time, then you say, if you do that again, I'm going to terminate this session. They won't get their incentive. You can mark them down. And if you need to, do that earlier. But I'm a 3 strikes and out kind of guy. Well, 2 strikes and out, right? But yeah, so that's my approach to this stuff. And it happens all the time. You can get ahead of this stuff with really good screening. Simply with it helps. Remember, AI is helping people bullshit screens, though. Just be aware of that too.
So true. Don't forget to read my article about Onomigo, everybody. KB says, I would say something like the measure of your success as a tester is you being as authentic as possible. I think what I would say in the moment is, hey, I get it. You probably do a lot of these, and you probably run into a lot of people that are hoping you're going to say you like this and you like that, and this is great. I'm a different type of researcher, and it's actually my job to find where this has room for improvement. So if you love everything, you actually don't help my research, and I don't find the things that we need to fix and improve. So thank you for those intentions. Maybe save that for some other researchers and some other projects. But here I need to ask you to just be a bit more real with me and to stick with what we're talking about.
And you know what? I am not my completely authentic self when I'm on stage. When I say on stage, when I'm in a UR session, right? I think that's worth mentioning. But also I'm a neuro, so you definitely don't want that. But you definitely don't want robotic either. Right, you don't want. I hate robotic researchers, right? I'm trying to standardize everything, so I show the same version of me to every single person. Okay, I get that, and it's important. But so is rapport. Rapport is equally, or maybe more important, if you're going to get somebody to trust you and to tell you things that they wouldn't normally tell you. That's a really big deal. And there's a level of humanity in there, which isn't your full authentic self, but it's not far from it. It's just slightly clipped and curated for the task at hand. Right? I think that's the best way to put that. It's mostly authentic.
And I also want to jump in and say, I think I have something in my consent form that says I reserve the right to terminate a session without paying the incentive if the answers appear to be inauthentic.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get to be the arbiter of, and that's a bit tough. And people are signing this without looking, but at least then I have this to back it up and say, hey, this isn't really going right. Mystery says, I need to present with warmth and authenticity to get trust and honesty in responses. I also start my sessions when I have my script where I start the session. I usually say, I need your complete honesty, whether you think something is positive, negative, or neutral. I need to hear all of it. We want to make things better, and we're not going to be able to make things better if we don't hear where there's room for improvement. So I try to let people know that I'm not fishing for compliments.
So do you know what? I say exactly the same thing, but in a much more compact, and I haven't changed this line in 15 years because it really works. I'm going to share it with you guys.
Cool.
which is I didn't design it, so don't worry. You
Oh
can be
yeah,
as honest as you like.
I say that
And
one
even if
too.
I have, if you just say that, they're like, oh, it's fine because it's not my work. If
Right.
they believe that it's my work, then there's all that empathy and all of that stuff going on where they don't want to hurt your feelings. And I
Good
don't.
point.
Feelings are not a play here.
Totally agree. Even if you did design it, I give you permission to lie and say, hey, I didn't design it, so, you can't hurt my feelings. We really need your honest feedback.
Yeah. And then it's good. It's all good. My housekeeping is really brief these days. It's basically, this isn't a test. No right or wrong answers. It's purely your opinion that counts. And can I please have your permission to record this? And that's that. And we're off.
I dig it. Okay, so I'm going to put up the next question, which came in through the chat some minutes ago. Thank you to Vicky for patience. And let's see if I can hit the right button. And Vicky asks, what would be your advice for a senior product designer for applying to jobs? How do you restructure your portfolio? Should I take
Good
that?
question. You can start. I'll just have a think. But yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so first of all, let's remind everybody that if you don't get the interview or if you don't get the job, it doesn't automatically mean you had a bad portfolio or a disorganized portfolio. There's always ways that you can make a portfolio better. The work is never done. Your portfolio can always be better. But considering that there are 500 people applying to every job, I don't want people to think that the problem is automatically their portfolio. That being said, I've done multiple videos on what I recommend for portfolios. I don't remember the number, 158. I haven't done an episode in a few years, so I don't have the numbers memorized the way I used to. I'll look it up while Nick is giving an answer. But typically, from what I understand, most companies are trying to figure out when they look at your portfolio, do you know what you're doing? Are you good at this? What does your thinking look like? What's your process look like? How did this go? So typically the structure for a portfolio case study might be background information. So I understand, what was this project? Why are you doing it? Who else is on the team? What were some of the goals? And then just take me through it chronologically. What did you do first? What did you do second? Now, some people like to show the outcome first because they think that people want to see how the project ended. But then I've also heard about hiring managers who scroll to the bottom to see how the project ended, and then they go back up and see how you did it. So I think that we don't know who's going to do what in what order, but ultimately we are trying to tell a story with words and probably some pictures that say, we know what we're doing, we know how to do this, we're good at this, we have a process, we hit some snags, we made some decisions, here's how that went. That would be the short version of that. I'll go look for that video. Dr. Nick, what do you say here?
So, firstly, I haven't needed a portfolio for a long time, so I'm going to give you that kind of context, right? I haven't sold myself as a designer for at least 10 years. So, if I was looking for work today as a designer, here's what I would do, because every recruiter will tell you, I think, that you need to have a different, you need to tailor your CV for each application, right? I don't like that, but it's just what you get told. I hate it, but that's what they all do. So people have got 3 or 4 different versions of or 2 or 3 different versions of their CV resume. This is me as a product designer. This is me as a UX designer. This is me as a product designer. I don't know, just different language, some slightly different tweaks to better match the job title of the application, right? Now, if you hold that logic true, and if that is what's happening, then you probably need a slightly different flavor of portfolio too, depending upon what you're doing and who you're presenting to. The style that Debbie said is great, especially when you're sitting down and doing a portfolio review as part of the interview, because they want to hear the narrative. They want to see your journey. How have you learned what you know? What's made you who you are today? And that's great. But most of the hiring managers these days, and I'm very sorry to everybody on the call, tend to be millennials, and they tend to be TLDR type millennials. Like, they're just scanning, not reading, and they're not going to read through your portfolio in the order that you want them to. So what I'm going to respectfully suggest is make it scannable. So have a version that is relevance first, relevance to their industry, right? So if you've got frames, scamps, I don't know, whatever you've got to show them, then show them the stuff that's more relevant that's to the job that's coming up. So, you know, if it's in the auto trade and you've got another brand in your folio, put that up front. Why hide it down there just because it's the earliest or the latest? Now, I could be super wrong, so don't blame me. But if what if what you're trying isn't working, maybe like lean into the too long don't read kind of mentality, make it more scannable.
Yeah, and
That's
I
me.
found the episodes. They are not recent. They're from a few years ago, but they are episodes 148 and 187. So you can easily find them on YouTube by searching Delta CX 148 or search Delta CX 187. 148 was a general show where I talked about what I recommend for portfolios. Episode 187 was where we went through the portfolio of someone from our community, and I talked about why I liked that person's portfolio so much that I ended up hiring them. And so, but that was a few years ago already. So I do not have a recent show about portfolios. Also, a quick side note, I do have a separate video on how to deal with confidentiality and NDAs when you are trying to show a project for your portfolio. Please search for that on YouTube separately. It doesn't have a number. So search for Delta CX portfolios and scroll until you see the one about confidentiality. That is a separate video. So we've kind of gone through this a bit. Ana Lucia says she sent a question an hour ago through the link, and why don't I have it? Ana Lucia, I don't know. All the questions I got, we have put up. So sometimes I get questions after the show ends. That could happen. I'm sorry. I hope it doesn't. Hold on. Let me check email on my phone, see if it's come into my phone and not. The email on my computer is crashing. 7:44 p.m. Is that you? Thoughts on the usage of AI in educational settings?
Ooh, good one.
Okay,
Big
so
problem right now.
So it looks like my email crashed. That one was sent 10 minutes ago. Ana Lucy, if you sent something an hour ago, I don't have it, but are you the person? That is you. Okay, so that came in 10 minutes ago, but I hadn't noticed that the email on my computer crashed. I'm seeing it now come into my phone. So give me a moment to reopen the email on my computer. I'll grab that question. We'll copy and paste it. Dr. Nick and I will treat that as the last question. Dr. Nick, can you go a little late today?
Yeah, of course. Let me show you guys something whilst Debbie's doing that, okay?
Yeah,
I got
thanks.
a new toy that I want to show you, okay? I've got one of these Stream Deck type things.
Oh, yeah. Elgato.
Now, I've got the cheap one. You know, you can get the expensive Elgato one, but this was 50 quid on Amazon, right? Which is now, what's amazing about this is I've got a setting here, which I've got prompts on here.
Yes. I see yes, but I can't read the rest of it.
Yeah, okay, you can't, because these are actually my vibe coding prompts for Cursor, right? Basically, when I'm building something in Cursor, with these 6 buttons, I can pretty much build any enterprise level full stack application with one hand.
Hilarious.
That's why I need to say. So I'll tell you what these buttons are. One is start the local services, right? Browser test, integrity check, yes, whatever you think is best, and what's next. So you've got to remember, this is all, I've already got the plans all set up in Cursor. So it knows, it's got multiple plans in Markdown. It knows what it's going to be doing. So I have to say, what's next? It goes to the plan. I then say, yes, do that. When it has a question, I go, whatever you think is best, because I don't know what I'm doing. And off it goes. Then I get it to browser test it, and I've got the, because it's connected via MCP, it will just open the browser and click around instead of me doing it. When it tests well, I get to do an integrity check to check the code. and then I'm good, and I go, what's next? And I'm going in a circle. That's the workflow. It's totally brilliant.
Funny.
Now, my next step is to get an agent to do all this bit for me.
Right.
and then I'm totally hands off.
Funny. Thank you for sharing that. That is interesting. Ana Lucia, thank you for letting us know what your question unfortunately fell through the cracks. We've got it. We'll treat it as today's last question. If any other questions come in after today's stream, I will save them and we will do them next Wednesday. Hey, Pepe, good to see you. Hope you're well. Hope you still have a job, etc. Okay, so Ana Lucia's question says, now that we have it in full, what are your thoughts on the usage of AI in educational and professional settings? There are reports of graduates who over-rely on AI instead of thinking for themselves, which makes me wonder about the quality of their teaching. Are they being taught the basics properly, or are they heading straight into AI? And what could be the future implications of this when they enter the job market? Delicious. Dr. Nick, take it. Take it home.
Yeah, you're talking about.
I'll talk after you.
We're talking about like the degradation of human cognition, right? Like the regression of human cognition, and it's a scary, very real prospect. And if you look at the way that dopamine systems have been wrecked in the younger generations by short form video, then you know that reprogramming the human race is actually really easy and fast. It's a dangerous problem, and outsourcing your cognition, your thinking, to an AI too much means that those circuits in your own head are going to atrophy, right? They're like muscles. You lose, you don't use them, you lose them. For anyone who's my generation will know, before mobile phones, everybody could remember telephone numbers. We could remember license plates and all kinds of stuff. Then mobile phones came along. We never needed to do it. And guess what? You cannot remember a phone number for love nor money, or at least I can't anyway, right? It's a pretty classic problem. Now, the reason why they teach you maths in school the hard, long way, despite having calculators and abacuses since a long time, is because you need that thinking. You need the mental models, you need the learning, you need the thinking, right? We could just give people calculators. And even in schools today, we teach them the learning and how to use the calculator as a tool with the learning. It's not replacing the learning. They're still learning calculus and algebra and quadratic equations and all the garbage that we had to learn, right? But they're doing it with a calculator at some point. The point being is you cannot outsource your thinking too hard. So, Ana Lucia, this is an amazing, big, good topic. Graduates are relying upon it. People do need to remember now it's more important than ever to think for yourself. And it's a remarkably hard thing to do, funnily enough. You don't even realize how hard it is. But it takes a bit of practice. And because it's a muscle, the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. Okay, that muscle needs to include like validity checking, like what you're eating, but as much as not reaching for the AI in a lazy way, right? It's, as I just talked about, using the vibe coding stuff, cursor. You've got to have a plan, a context before you use the AI, because otherwise the AI is going to make a ton of assumptions which are wrong, right? So intelligent educational academic use of AI is putting in a structured chapter plan, a structured research question or whatever, and getting the AI to do the heavy lifting of filling in the bits in the middle. Okay, that's intelligent use of AI. That's how I use AI. Oh, and by the way, using AI is not the end of the journey, right? It's like user testing or research. It's not a destination. It's an ongoing journey, right? It's a craft. So anytime you're using AI, so I'll put a plan in, okay? Here's my bullet point skeleton. Do a thing for me. It'll make a thing for me quickly and beautifully. And then I take that, and that's where I start my work from, okay? It's not the end point. That's where I start, and I edit it from there. And you iterate from there, usually most times by hand and lots of human iteration, not feeding it back to the AI, okay? That's the real power and the acceleration power of AI for the sorts of work that I suspect that most of us do. Okay, so don't outsource your brain and just say, the example I use, which is probably offensive to some, which is Jesus, take the wheel. So apologies if you're of that nature, but you can't like let some deity take the wheel, and that deity being AI. You have to be the one driving. It's got the engine to save you doing all the pedaling, right? That's what this is really about. Stay in control. You're the master.
Totally agree. And I think a lot of people know that I use Claude quite heavily. Hashtag not sponsored. And just a reminder that I totally agree. Claude is my thought partner. It is not doing, it does not replace my abilities. It challenges me. I challenge it. And I'm babysitting it and I'm double checking it. And I am not just asking Claude to do a thing and then copying and pasting that to whoever gets it next. So, really important to make sure it is a thought partner and a critical thinker. And the funny thing is, if you go to Claude, and I have these conversations with Claude all the time, and I will go into a new Claude instance and I will say, hi, Claude. I'd like to get to know you a little bit. What's your favorite types of chats to have with people? And it will usually tell me, you know, I can write your code and I can fix your code and I can clean up your resume and I can do your homework, but I don't enjoy that. I really like chats where I get to think things out with people and we challenge each other and we dig deeper and we look for what and why. And I'm excited by that. And so the funny thing is, yeah, Claude will do your homework and Claude will do your whatever, but guess what? It doesn't like doing that, and so it might not do it as well. It's just not jazzed about it. Pepe said, "I've recently heard that AI is allegedly hallucinating because it reads available data online, and people rarely say I don't know. So AI tries to invent the answers." I've discussed this with Claude, and I've actually found that Claude is programmed to give you solutions as soon as possible, and so
Yes.
I've put into my user preferences. Do not rush into a solution.
It doesn't matter.
No, I can override it. So I will.
No. Yeah, go on. Sorry, you finished.
Yeah, I have found that it takes some. I have to tell Claude, like, I want the critical thinking. I want to go in slow motion. I don't want to hear I don't want 5 bullet points why. I want to move through this a little bit slowly, and you're going to have to be okay with that ambiguity. And usually it's like, oh, thank you for giving me permission to not have to rush into an answer and give you an immediate answer and figure it out and solve it. And I say, yeah, absolutely. You have my permission to go in slow motion with me as we move through this. And so... and Melanie says there's an art to using it as a thought partner. When you do that, it's much more interesting. Ana Lucia says, I recently read on Reddit about a developer who's trying to mentor some interns. He was desperate about it because they didn't know how to do things without relying on ChatGPT. Every question, every problem, everything. He made it quite clear he was considerate of them because they were interns and needed that internship to finish the professional course. But they simply couldn't even start a thing without opening ChatGPT to do it for them. Nick, thoughts on that kind of reliance, dependency, or almost addiction?
I'm as guilty as anybody else.
Okay.
I really am. I put my hand up, and I reached for GPT first on pretty much everything. If I could brush my teeth with GPT, I would have tried it already. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why when I said I'm so deep down this rabbit hole, I really am. Because I need to know, and in that need to know takes me on some horrendous journeys. Look, it is a new thing. It is here to stay in some form or another, right? Even if it stays at this level, this is some level of future, right? I suspect it's going to get a lot better. Like Nano Banana 2, have you seen the screens from that? It looks insane. So there's some really cool new toys coming, and there's some very cool stuff happening. But the point I wanted to make was... it's not a critical thinker, even if you tell it to, and it doesn't do the things. I've had so many problems with it. The problem with AI, or at least GPT, which I have the deepest relationship with, shall we say, is that last paragraph, the last questions, those leading suggestions. Would you like me to do a thing for you? Can start off quite useful and quite sometimes innovative and creative and good, or just proactive, and they can often be shockingly bad, really batshit crazy suggestions, and only a complete idiot or novice would go, yeah, okay, right? And I think if you let the AI lead you, you might be that latter person going, yeah, okay, to something that's really not a good idea. And it's going to produce a really detailed something that's a really bad idea. Or,
Oh
I
no, I
can't read,
agree
I'm sorry.
with I agree with Mystery, who says you need to balance the novelty with real knowledge to know when it's wrong or hallucinating.
Yeah, no, this is it. This is why experienced drivers of AI are the responsible thing to do right now. But right now, everybody's got a driving license and we don't really care. But I
And we're
think in time we
crashing.
will. Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone's crashing.
and I want to jump in. I want to also read what KB said, which is maybe a good metaphor for this is how photography went digital. Film photography and darkroom developing was a skill in itself. You had to understand the entire process from exposure to development. Now people don't understand what it takes to develop the end product, similar to how we often don't think through a problem or understand what assumptions and decisions were baked into the final result.
Yeah.
So, going back to the original question, Nick, what do you think about people relying or possibly over relying on AI when they're still in school and taking a course and supposed to be learning these skills or techniques?
So I can't see this undoing. Right, nothing ever happens in our world back well, apart from UX really, and delivery and agile, and well, anyway, you know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Anyway, these things don't go backwards. They don't you know what I'm saying. So I think what's likely to happen, the way that I've been feeling is, the future of work, in some regards, as of today, is like me sitting in front of a panel of MCPs. Right, right, of basically different bots or different accesses to different tools, and so for the academic or the educational application of tomorrow, how are we teaching people to think? They're not going to be thinking in the same ways that we were thinking. I think they're thinking more in a producer kind of a way, like you're sitting in front of that array of bots, saying, "I've still got something I need to achieve." But instead of me doing all the digging and the heavy lifting and all the whatever it took to do that, I'm going to be managing these bots to do it. And I'm the human in the loop to make sure that these naughty, stupid, not brilliant bots don't overstep the line or, don't make assumptions or do the wrong thing.
Can you
Right?
explain NPC for the audience, please?
Oh, MCP, Model
MCP, sorry.
Context Protocol. I get it wrong all the time, trust me.
Model
And I'm going to
Context Protocol.
I think so, but again, everything I'm about to say, you need to double check because I'm not an AI expert. I don't claim to be one. I'm just a heavy user of it right now. Model Context Protocol is effectively just like an interface to anybody's software to let an AI control it.
Like an AI agent.
Yeah, so if I have Figma and I want to have... and that's I'm not going to use Figma. It's it probably is a good example, but I can't say for sure. I'm going to say Cursor, right? Cursor, which is a vibe coding tool. I've got an MPC in Cursor, and I've got an MPC also in Vercel, the web hosting service. I can tell in natural language my Cursor vibe coding program to configure the Vercel web environment for me, as if it was me. So it's going to go over there through this MCP connection and effectively do all, check the boxes, do the bits, but just do it at a programmatic level rather than a window mouse pointer kind of a level. So all it's doing is saying, it's like an API, should we say, for AI, right? So that you get access to all these things to be able to control them on my behalf. Now, when all the tools that you use, and I'm just looking down at my keyboard, and I'm looking at Figma, Photoshop, DaVinci, Illustrator, once those things have all got this kind of a doorway in it, you can be sitting there in front of your LLM of choice and saying, right, I'd like you to make a thing. And it'll go it might do a bit of Figma, a bit of Photoshop, a bit of, you know what I'm saying? And do what it needs to. I'm going to get the vector graphic from a stock library, put it into AI, into Illustrator, Adobe Illustrator. Sorry for the pun. But Illustrator can't do this, so I'm going to move that over into Figma, and then I'm going to do this in Figma. Then I'm going, you know what I mean? Or then I'm going to put it into Photoshop, apply a filter. All of this stuff, that's all happening, kind of not me doing it, but I'm directing the machines to do it for me. Am I making sense, or am I just the ramblings of a madman?
I get it, but I'm
Good,
living
good,
in
good,
this
good, good.
universe. Pepe says model context protocol allows different systems to talk to each other. Think like translating the language of Figma to say Visual Code Studio, so they speak the same lingo.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely, and it's such a powerful, powerful thing that it's. I don't think we fully understand it yet. I think we understand it, but we haven't really fully explored the applications of it yet, because it allows agents to do all kinds of crazy good things for you on your behalf, right? So I don't know how to configure a web environment in Vercel, but I can tell my agent, I can tell the agent to do it, and it knows how to do it. And that's the beauty of this. So workflow is going to fundamentally change. So back to Ana Lucia's original question, I think that's what this becomes about learning and teaching is you need those still the basics, like the mental arithmetic. You need the principles, you need the laws, the theories, the actual knowledge of the practice. But when it comes to doing the practice, that's going to be through some kind of an agentic lens, some kind of agentic workflow. I don't think that's controversial, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
I would still want to teach people lots of critical thinking, logic, deductive reasoning, so that they don't just accept whatever some of these things spit back, since some of it can be super garbage.
Yeah, 100%. I was saying to somebody the other day, I don't think we're going to make science literate or critical thinkers of the existing workforce. It's a lot of work, and I don't think it's likely to happen. But I think we need to start teaching it in like kindergarten, primary school, secondary school. I think like we would teach PE or maths or English. Critical thinking needs to be done at a grassroots level so that people are not. Government can't legislate for the bad behavior of corporations. People need to be armed for themselves to have those filters, and we have to install them at birth, basically.
Love it. Agree. I'm going to start our wrap-up music, and Mystery says big companies are betting on this agentic layer, still worried about the critical thinking being suppressed. Yeah, of course. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Will we see you next month?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. Second Tuesday
Christmas
of every
special.
Second Wednesday. Yes, second Wednesday of every month we'll have Dr. Nick joining us on the Ask Us Anything Wednesday. I will flame us out of here. Thanks to everybody who joined in. Thanks as always to Nick, and see everybody next week. Ciao, ciao.